Welcome to Mind Over Matter, where we challenge the grind and reclaim the mind. Tonight's guest, Dr. Portia Preston, is a powerhouse voice in wellness and public health, TEDx speaker, author of Hustle, Flow, or Let It Go, and creator of the SANE Cycle Blueprint. Her message? True wellness isn't found in burnout or checklists. It begins with embracing your instinct worth. No hustle required. And let's exhale and explore how to live, lead, and let go with intention. Welcome to the show, Portia. It's an honor to have you.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Mhm. So, Portia, you have worked in high stakes spaces like the CDC and Deloitte. What moment made you realize the hustle wasn't sustainable?
Oh, well, I think it was a lot of crash and burn moments over time, but I think the first time I really understood I couldn't force myself through it was probably when I had a blood clot on the job.
Oh. Mhm. And was it? Many of us are stuck in go mode without realizing what it's costing us until it's too late.
Yes, that is definitely the case.
Mhm.
Yes.
And your book breaks things into hustle, flow, and let it go. How do these concepts form the foundation of shame free wellness?
Well, the first thing is dealing with the hustle. A lot of the shoulds that blend around in our head. I should be able to do this. Why couldn't I do that? All of that comparison. It doesn't originate with us. We look back to our cultures in which we were raised. What were the messages in our society, and that is really what has set the tone of the hustle. So there's kind of a distinction between I like to hustle, I like the grind. That's fine. I'm talking about the kind of grind that you said in your title that wears you down. And so the first step in stepping out of the shame is to understand this isn't all me. I have bought into something and maybe I don't want to hustle, but I have to, right? And not shaming myself for that. And so flow is being able to start to name what are practices that I can do to care for myself, even as I am realizing that bigger systems need to change. And then letting go is really starting to heal from those expectations and understand that you have worth outside of what you do. So those are just a slice of each of the concepts.
Absolutely. And how do we recognize which phase we are in?
Sure. So I would say you recognize the hustle by the impact of it on your life. So if you're feeling disconnected from yourself, if you're feeling stuck and uncertainty and unable to move, you feel like no matter what you're doing, it's not enough. The other thing I would look at is the impact on what you value most. So how are your relationships functioning? There were times where I was really content in the hustle, but I didn't have community. And over time, that became a negative for me. So, what I want people to know is it's possible to define what the hustle looks like in your life and then create warning signs so that you begin to realize, oh, wow, I'm not following through on my promises to my family or to myself, or I need to change what that is. Maybe I need some boundaries.
Yeah, and sometimes the most powerful act of wellness is permission to pause or to pivot.
Exactly. Yes, giving ourselves permission to be present with where you are, the resistance. You can't force it to go away. But if you are able to accept it and move along with it over time, you can start to build trust and realize what your needs are.
Mm-hmm. Right. And how do you define shame free wellness? And why is it so important in our comparison driven world?
Sure. So I define shame free wellness as any practice that meets you where you are. So not telling myself, oh, I have to work out today, but really understanding, okay, what's going on for me right now? Why do I want to do this or not want to do this? What is accessible for me? And really just instead of pushing myself through that, meeting myself where I am and understanding my rhythm and my pace. So that might sound like, oh, well, that takes too much time. But I think that that's exactly the point. I have come from a lifetime of my mind pushing my body because it didn't have time to take care of me. And now I'm trying to build that trust back. It also means that you're not judging people for where they are relative to someone else. You brought up comparison. A lot of our wellness standards are based on a norm, quote unquote, that has been set by society that many of us exist outside of. So, shame free wellness is being able to embrace all of who you are, whatever you choose to do or not do. Your worth is undeniable.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And what role does self-compassion play in that process?
Oh, it's pivotal. It's key because the moment that I say I'm going to do something, here comes my shame running after me. So I personally have been on a lifelong journey with self-compassion, and this is not easy. That's why one of the things I talk about in the book is community activated compassion. So self-compassion is me being able to sit with how I feel and say, okay, that's what this is. How can I be kind to myself? What do I need to work through this? Sometimes I can't access that part of me because I'm feeling disconnected. And so I might have a friend who I trust, who I know is willing to see me as human, and they may offer to me some of the love that I'm not able to apply myself. And that will ultimately help me to get through that situation. So I think it's really about self compassion, but also letting others in who are trusted and safe.
Mm-hmm. And wellness isn't one size fits all, and shame has no place in our healing spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that for me, I just speak for myself. Shame is like this big monster that's never going to go away. And I wrote about shame because I wanted to write a book where I wouldn't be a hypocrite. I didn't want to get on, a platform and tell people, hey, if you do this, everything's gonna be perfect. It's not. Life is really tough. And I think that what I want people to know is that inner narrative that we have, shaming ourselves for not being enough, that that isn't always true. And it's okay to question that and sort out what is at the root of it that might be good. And maybe what is it that is unhealthy? And how can I address those unhealthy parts so that I can have a healthier relationship with myself, with my body, and be able to embrace my own worth. And when we do that, that shifts how we care for ourselves. Because now I am deserving of hydration. I am deserving of not putting myself through horrendous diet cycles or being in a toxic work environment or relationship. And I start to see myself as worthy of boundaries and having hobbies and all of these things that we say we should do. If you don't feel like you're worthy of it, you're not going to sustain it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And you talk about energy vampires, people or habits that drain us.
Yes.
How can we take back control, especially when those vampires live close to home or work?
Right. You may literally be right where you are. I think that it's really important for us to understand that people are going through their own perceived reality that is completely different from ours. And at best, what they are responding to in you is their version of you. So it helps for me to distance and say, okay, you know what? This person doesn't know all of who I am. What do I need to do to take care of me? And sometimes very hard boundaries have to be set, even with people that you love, that you want to be okay to be with, because it's not safe for you. So advocating for yourself and understanding your needs and then taking appropriate action. Um, Allowing people to be who they are and not let that dictate who you are. And finally, surrounding yourself with people that replenish you. So, just you can't change who someone else is, but who else can I pull into my world that is going to give me that love? And how can I get that love to myself? So it's really about focusing on what's under your control and maybe creating safety with yourself to take the steps to care for yourself or distance yourself that you otherwise would not.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And what boundaries have helped you most personally?
Oh boy. So the biggest boundary I feel right now is realizing that there's no way I'm going to finish my whole to-do list and there's never going to be an end to requests. And I used to try to get people to stop requesting things, and that actually doesn't work. So now I'm having to set a boundary with myself and say, you can say at any time, this is what I need to do. And I'm going to try to get to this. But I think the healthiest boundary I've honestly set is with myself because I used to force myself to do so many things. And I feel like I've gotten stronger in that regard, that there's a part of me that wants to be kind and proud and healthy. And so when that part of me shows up and advocates inside of me, it comes out on the outside because now I'm not looking for that validation in others. And while I'd love for everyone to be kind and happy, I'm just honest that I'm going to disappoint people and I'm going to make mistakes. And I think that what I'm trying to say is like boundaries are like a garden that you have to start growing on the inside of you in order to enforce them on the outside.
Mm-hmm. And boundaries aren't walls, the bridges back to self respect.
Right. They don't have to be walls. We have all types of boundaries, right? So there's some where you have to say, okay, I'm never communicating with this person again. There's some where you say, okay, if this person is trying to put too many tasks on me, I'm going to suggest this instead. Sometimes you will tell people, I try to look at the deeper part of what they're asking me for and celebrate what they're doing and say, wow, that's really fantastic. And I'm going to think about how I can support you. And so that's setting the boundary because what you told me to do, I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but I'm going to think about what I'm going to be doing. So I'm giving myself a time boundary. So we can think of like, even just saying, I'm going to wait 24 hours before I respond to a request. That's a great boundary.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And tell us about the SANE Cycle Wellness Blueprint. What are its
Oh, I would
purpose?
love to. So I was really happy about this because it is so simple. And I feel like it's been so pivotal in my own life as I continue to deal with challenges. So the cycle is SANE, SANE, and the intention is to help preserve your sanity. So the S stands for slow down to reflect. We're just trying to get back into the present moment because you often we're thinking about the past or the future. So you might, take a step to ground yourself, to just settle in, take a deep breath, and just be present. The next step is to acknowledge your reality. So, what in this situation is true and real? Where might I have some beliefs that may or may not be true? Where may I have some expectations that may not be met right now? And based on that information, we can move to N, which is to navigate with intention. This is where we come up with our map, our process. And what I've learned about life is sometimes we chart out a map to an outcome and then the journey shifts. So the idea here isn't to nail down the perfect process or the perfect outcome, but just to get started. And so I think of like, if there's something where I'm stuck, what is the smallest step forward I can take? Right. And then the last step is to evaluate and adapt. And we're constantly doing that. So if we don't get the outcome that we expected, if we don't get the feedback that we thought we would, or I've been pursuing this path forever and now I don't want it for myself anymore, let's adapt. Otherwise, we're just continuing to hold dominion over our past selves, right? And so that is the same cycle and it just loops. But in everyday life, in every situation, you slow down and reflect. You can be um, intentional rather than reactive. You can acknowledge your reality. You can navigate with intention, aligning your process with your values. And then lastly, evaluate and adapt. So that allows any wellness practice that you develop to evolve with you. But it's also helpful for decision making and just everyday challenges.
Mm-hmm. Right. And how has your own journey with ADHD informed this framework?
Oh my goodness. I think it has breathed life into me. Dealing with autism and ADHD is really a recent journey for me. It's only in the past few years that I've become aware of that. And at first, I had so much internalized ableism. I didn't believe that it was okay for me to say I had a disability. I felt guilty about it. And I think it was only when it started to become more debilitating in everyday life that I started to be more open to this more expansive idea and really shift my understanding of disabilities. And so this framework gives me permission to take the time that I need to not be a robot that always has the perfect answer, to not show up a way that someone else does, but be realistic about my capacity and communicate that. So I would say the same cycle gives me permission to meet myself where I am, wherever my needs are that day. And just to be very clear about this, my struggles with executive function, for example, it's very hard for me to carry out tasks. I come up with a lot of great ideas, but sometimes I'm hard on myself and I can't carry them all out. So maybe understanding is realizing it's okay and it's wonderful that you have all of these ideas. And it's okay to just take one piece and really sit with it and move slowly. It's okay for you to vary your speed. So those are the kind of things that I use to cycle for.
That's amazing. And the most powerful blueprints are born from lived experience. And yours is deeply grounded.
Thank you. Yeah. The truth of the matter is I would like to say that the book wrote me because I was really going through a difficult phase in my life, honestly, the most difficult. I was dealing with a depression where I felt like I lost hope and I never wanted to be in that position again. And so I was wanting to write everything that I knew and sort of construct a roadmap for myself and for everyone else as we navigate the ups and downs of life.
100%. With Dr. Portia Preston, we have cracked open a truth our culture too often hides. You don't need to earn your worth through exhaustion. Wellness doesn't live in your to do list, it lives in your boundaries, your breath, and your self acceptance. So maybe today is your moment to choose flow or finally to let it go. Because your peace was never meant to be negotiated, it's meant to be lived.
Those are beautiful words. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you.
My honor. Thank you. So, Hustle, Flow, or Let Go, a guide to shame free wellness that honors your reality and gets you life. It is available at major book retailers. And you can also go to PortiaPreston.com. That's PortiaPreston. And on all social media, I am Dr. Portia Preston. That's Dr. Portia Preston. Thank you.